Hey guys and gals, this is Clark and Toby here with Restoration Advisors. We're doing a little driving, looking forward, being safe, being profoundly responsible here. But Toby just finished a call with the client, and the conversation I thought would make for great educational conversation. And we're not going to obviously expose the client or their client or any of the specifics to protect the innocent, right? But I just thought it's probably something that most people we talk to relate to this, and it's something they probably usually catch themselves after the fact and not during. So tell me kind of how that call with your client.
Yeah, so it was talking with a restoration company. They finished the job in November. The scenario was when the call came in, the property owner was out of town, but they were able to get in touch with them and get approval from the owner to basically delegate the process to the tenant.
This was a commercial.
This is a commercial loss, yeah. So the restoration company went ahead and got started. As soon as they got word that the property owner came back in town, they went ahead and got a signed contract from the owner. So now they have a contract in place with the tenant as well as the owner. But because the approval was given for the tenant to handle everything, the restoration company has just been working directly with the tenant to this point. It's now middle of May. Project was finished in November, and they're still having trouble collecting the last few $1,000s. So now we're in a situation where the restoration company just wants to close it out, and the tenant is asking if there's any way that they can discount it, if there's anything they can do to take less money at this point for the work that was completed.
I have a couple questions. You may or may not know the answers to these. So, do you know if that time when the owner of the building gave permission to the tenant, was that captured in writing that you know of? Do you know that power, that authority?
I don't know if that was.
So that's an important question for anybody watching. Is if those are the kinds of things that verbal will not hold up in court. You need to have something in writing from the owner, an email even, or always have the ability, whatever CRM you use, get your business is big enough to have some DocuSign. Have it where your client can sign documents that give these kinds of approval. You can just write something up that says this person gives this person permission on this date to do this. So that was one question. Was there a trackable authority for the tenant? Because now he sounds like he's dealing with the tenant. Second question, Toby, you may not know this. When you say contract, and in our industry, we have two things. One's called a contract, and one is a work authorization. I'm a huge proponent. I feel like sometimes I'm just screaming into a dark cave. Nobody really listens. We need to get away from work authorizations, which, by the way, are nothing more than a blank, no dollar amounts attached, no scope of work is generally attached, no real promises of performance, and they're signing it with no dollar amount. And a contract is a very specific document that sets the expectations legally. And my thing is when you go to court after you've done a job with the work authorization, and you're saying this customer owes me $14,283, and I'm going to round up and say 13 cents. The client says, I didn't know I owed you that much when I signed that piece of paper. Now, the argument are going to be two things. Some people say, well, they signed my price list. I have a rate sheet about what my rates are, my unit rate cost. That is not telling the customer what they're expecting. That could be $4,000, it could be $14,000, it could be $140. So you're not really doing anything there. It helps, and I'd say have your price sheet made. But the other thing is, people say this all the time, and Toby, you've heard this a lot. I don't know how to come up with the price of something in restoration. It's emergency situations, emergency services. I don't know how to price jobs to put a number up front. All right, everybody put earmuffs if you don't want to hear this. Bullshit. Bullshit. I'll tell you right now. I know why it's BS. Is because I know a lot of companies that do it. I've done it forever. If you can't identify, and I know I'm getting off on a tangent here, but you can identify the work that needs to be done on a job. If you pair that up with some type of pricing module in a format that you can do it, you can give the customer an estimated number. It can be estimated. It can be approximately $4,000 to $4,500. There are such things in the contracting world as, what do they call, Toby? Change orders? Change orders. But anyway, so, but what gets me, Toby, is he's tracing this money, and he's a good guy. Guys, this is a great restorer. And he's trying to build his business. He's trying to build relationships is what it is. And this is why I know it's going to resonate with everyone. He's been going since November. It's been finished. It's an invoice. He's already paid all of his team, his people, his subs. He's incurred all the costs, and now they're wanting to negotiate the amount.
Yeah.
And he's willing to give them money back to get paid.
Yeah.
And
sadly, he had an appointment set up for yesterday, and the guy was a no-call, no-show. Well, his excuse was hours later, well, my thermostat is out of my vehicle, or the AC went out of my vehicle, so I'm working with trying to get that fixed. To me, that shows that there's something else going on here, and this guy just does not want to face the music.
He's not taking it serious.
Not taking it serious. The good thing in this scenario is the restoration company has a contract with the property owner now. Right. The property owner has said, I don't want to lien on my property.
Right.
Awesome. So my advice to our client, the restoration company, is, hey, you've got a signed contract with the property owner. It's time to engage that person. I know they delegated it to the tenant, but it's now time to pursue the property owner.
So they're still dealing with the tenant at this point, and they never went back to the owner once the owner moved back and got back in town.
No, they have been working with the tenant.
Well, I'll say a couple of things. Hindsight's 20/20. 4 months, 5 months, your collections practices need to be better than that. I mean, at this point, the tenant's like, well, if he's waited 4 months, he can wait another 3. They're not taking it serious. There's probably no dollar amount. The tenant might actually know, I've got the power here. This guy cannot hold me to a number. Secondly, a lien process would have been, I would say, you got to be real careful in the state you're in. They may have missed their opportunity, their window to put a lien on. I don't know the state.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, potentially. So, and I think what I said a while ago, Toby, and tell me this is a new business, right? He's relatively new.
Relatively new.
He's 2 years in, year and a half, trying to build a relationship, and he doesn't want to go there, right? He doesn't want to become that person, and willing to give up a few thousand. By the way, that would be the profit of the job. So he would have done his job for no profit. If you're in business doing jobs for no profit, don't do the jobs. Yeah. Just don't spend the money. That's not a business. And I think this is where, and Toby is getting involved more and more in restoration, but our industry has this overwhelming amount of empathy for the client, what they went through. But I think the best thing we can do for our customers is do the work that we do, is to do the damn good, solid, technically sound, responsible, efficient property restoration, dry it out, clean it out, sanitize it, get it ready for construction. That's our value. But when it comes to contracting, it's 110% business. Like I'm gonna do my job, but I'm gonna only get paid for this. This is where I become. It's black and white. So I guess
for this new guy, for this new restoration company, like I told him, the amount that you're willing to discount, or the amount that this person owes you, is potentially the monthly salary of a new employee in a few months. This is money that will put food on your family's table. This is money that will allow you to spend time with your family. And if you're in business to give money away to other people, then what your responsibilities are, you're not you're not doing yourself any favors. You're giving yourself away at that point.
You know, I'd like to add one more thing. This is going to be hard to hear for a lot of people, but no one's going to doubt this is true. There are millions and millions of stories of contractors that have had all the best intentions in the world and did not contract well, and they are no longer in business. There are some statistics for contracting, construction, especially trade companies, that the first year in business, 30% don't make it. Second year, that's like 57. Third year businesses, 75% don't make it. You get to 10 years. And this to 10 years, 90 to 94% of the businesses don't make it the entire 10 years into construction. And that's a lot of the times because there's market trends. You'll be in a really big boom, it'll go into a recession. I know that's part of it. But a lot of it's because people are not handling their business like a business, and they're just trying to be overly helpful. And you've got to find that balance. We talk to people all the time. It's great. But if you don't stay in business and you do great work, you won't be in business to do that work anymore. You aren't helping anybody. You're not helping your customers. Well, what's the next move for this client? What are they going to do right now? What's the next move?
So the next move is to engage the property owner. And my advice to him, or my statement to him, was this should have been done a long time ago. I mean, this is the person that is ultimately responsible for this loss. So that's the next step. They're getting the property owner involved. I personally don't think it's going to be an issue because he's got a signed contract. The property owner has already said that they don't want to lien. So to me, I think it'll be resolved, but that step should probably have been taken a long time ago.
So. But this whole time, and I think this client probably knows this. They took their eye off the ball. It was always the check has to come from the business. The tenant's not paying for this.
Right.
I'm assuming it's not contents. It's
correct.
It's the structure of the building. So
Yep.
it doesn't sound like insurance is involved. So I'm not waiting on payment for an insurance company, or maybe they are. But do you feel like going forward, this won't happen again with them? They kind of have a better understanding.
Oh no. The good thing, this restoration company has taken full ownership of it. They understand where they went wrong, and they said this is never going to happen again. So they definitely learned the lesson. They're taking full responsibility. So
nice.
Yep.
And I will say there's a silver lining here. This is a relatively smaller job that they're learning a lesson on. It's not. I mean, I know people that have learned a lesson on hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
And that's where people get real squirrely with paying you. But just know that businesses, commercial, residential, doesn't matter. In the contracting world, you always have to assume that one side is going to want to try to. People have a real love of holding on to their money. There's a fear that they won't have. If they give up this capital, they will be down in their bank account enough, and then tomorrow might be doom and gloom. So you have to be aware of that when you're going. So you've got this customer service side, but you've got to make sure it's clear that not only the customer understands that I have to be paid for the work I'm doing, but my documentation and my contract is going to ensure that, and here will be the repercussions, that you're not doing this without getting paid, and you're certainly not going to have a conversation 4 or 5 months later about, hey, can we negotiate this down? And that's everybody in this industry. I know everybody does that. I don't. I mean, if I did something wrong and overcharged for something, sure, right, Tom?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole different story. So
Right. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to share it. I mean, if you got any more, I mean, it's just this. We see this enough that if we start compiling some conversations and video like this, and in this format where it's just casual, everybody relates. Everybody's going to resonate. But and you always catch yourself after. I know what I should have done. I just didn't do it.
Well, it's Monday morning quarterbacking.
Yeah.
You can. It's so much. Well, we saw that video today of, it's so much easier to challenge than it is to create. So, to look back and to critique yourself is so much easier to do than it is to create the proper process up front so that you don't have these. So,
you know what I also know in what we do, Toby, is a lot of it's the urgency, the emergency services, the speed, detention. We get wrapped up in that, and especially if you don't have a process. When you don't have processes, when you don't have a system to do something, you revert back to what you have, which is generally nothing. But I just remind everyone that water damage or fire, we're getting called in. We're not the firemen. We're getting called in after the fire, and the fire's out. The fire's out. The water's stopped. It's time to take a breath and think for a minute and plan. Military does that. They don't just rush in. They make a plan. Make sure we know the exit strategies. Make sure nobody's gonna get hurt. Stop. Slow down a little bit. I know the customer's freaking. That's your professionalism to let them know, and you're going to earn their trust, which will calm them down. Let them know that you know what you're doing. So don't just get wrapped up in the speed of things and then take the hit on the back end and be in financial ruin, because that really just hurts your company. It hurts everybody that works there, and your job as a leader or your project manager is to be financially responsible for the health of the company. Toby and I are doing a course right now, and this is going to make perfect sense, but you carry a lot of responsibility in a company for people that depend on it, including subs and whatnot. But I like this conversation. I really just wanted to have Toby talk a little bit about what happened over there, and I feel good that they're going to probably fix this. And
it's fixed as of now.
As of now. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's do a part 2 of this when they're done, and let them know how it works out. And maybe if this person wants to come on, maybe they'll come on and do a podcast with us, and we'll go into depth the history of it and how it worked out, and he can say what he's going to do next time. And
that'd be solid.
If 100 people learn from it, it's worth it.
It's worth it. Yep.
Cool. Peace out.